Cloud computing. So cloud computing works well with other technologies you will have discussed in sessions such as Internet of Things and also artificial intelligence, both of which require cloud computing as the underpinning technology. So cloud computing comes in many forms with many various companies. Some you may have heard of, some you may not have heard of, but very much a technology which is around us at all times. So without getting into too much detail, here you see an example of a traditional sort of computer setup. In regard to a traditional on-premise setup, that's where your organization or company is possibly providing both the infrastructure such as the computer networks, the storage such as hard drives and online storage and everything. And therefore you need to have technicians on site, you need to have the security built in so that you don't get hacked, or you can limit hacking and be aware of it and all this sort of stuff. And it's very complicated and probably quite expensive in comparison to using cloud technologies, where a lot of this is dealt with centrally by other companies. So there's three models for cloud computing. There's what's called infrastructure as a service, which is where you still keep your own individual computers, including the operating systems, but then everything else is done on the cloud. Okay? Or there's platform as a service, where all you need basically is, if anything, is a browser, an application or something running on the computer, which then interacts with the cloud, and everything else is then done via the cloud. Or there's software as a service, which basically everything is done on the cloud. Might be an embedded device. An example of this might be a parcel courier firm that have a specialized device which basically is made for that one individual purpose, or even that one individual company, in the form of like Royal Mail and Amazon and so on. So I'm thinking, a parcel delivery company would have their own uniquely developed device, especially for them, and that individual device would actually have everything they need on it, including when the parcel arrives. They'll have a camera to take a photograph. It'll have built-in GPS, which will record the time as well as the actual exact location that particular transaction takes place to prove that the item was delivered. Now, there's three large companies involved with cloud computing. Some you may have heard of, and some you may not have realized are companies you know. So, for example, Azure is actually owned by Microsoft and is one of Microsoft's biggest income generators. Likewise, AWS is actually owned by Amazon. And Amazon as a company, even to this day, don't make any or very little profits through their actual main activity, which is selling and retail. They make nearly all their profit through AWS. And the reason they do this is because what they've generated is they've created data centers throughout the world which sell off spare capacity. And by selling off that spare capacity, in reality, they're actually basically having somebody else pay for a large, if not total amount of their own individual computing needs. That's what makes that particularly so profitable, as well as generating an income from other individual companies and providers, for which is the base of their customer base. Google Cloud does the same sort of thing, and very often you'll find these companies are used solely by, for example, organizations and even countries. So the British government, I think, uses mainly Azure, whereas the American government uses, I think, presently Google Cloud infrastructure. The cloud itself, so we got here a little diagram representing what's on the cloud. So what's actually based on the cloud, everything from your infrastructure, such as back storage, internet work between different cloud elements, as well as the internet and the big wide world beyond. The platform itself, such as, taking, identity, security, all the various applications running on the cloud, as well as the applications which, as a user, you actually interact with, the contents, the interface, whichever application you use to interact with. And on outside the cloud, you've got your various devices you can use. Now, your cloud you can get access to with any device which is internet connected. So it could be a laptop, it could be a phone, tablet, or so on. And finally, cloud computing has to be both ubiquitous, where it's available everywhere. It can be used on any device. It's completely native, generally, to any computing device. And on demand, that it can be used at any time. You can be having individuals using the same cloud infrastructure parts of the day when in your particular region or country it's actually nighttime and you're asleep. So this is obviously, ideal for organisations which run 24 hours a day, such as global organisations such as like Amazon, and in certain industries which continue running in different parts of the world, as their daytime becomes our nighttime, such as finance and stock markets and so on. So very much a way of being able to interact with technology 24 hours a day from anywhere using any device, from as small as a smartphone to as large as a large computer with multiple displays.